What type of mental breakdown makes someone do this? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a woman in Atlanta, Georgia, who had an apparent mental breakdown and went to MLK's birthplace, sprayed gasoline from a jerry can, then grabbed a lighter and tried to spark it up. She tried to burn Dr. Martin Luther King's birthplace down to the ground. Now, this is a really interesting story for a variety of reasons. First of all, it is news. It's being covered by the news, but it's not really a big news story. And I think the reason why is pretty obvious. We'll get to that in a moment. What's also interesting is who actually filmed this and who subdued her. It's the most random combination of people I've ever seen in my life. Now, before we get into all the details, let's get to the initial news clip. If you want to see the clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We are following breaking news at 6. This is brand new video. Let's listen in.
I just happened to be using a gas can to water the plants.
And then she had trouble getting it open, so eventually she unscrewed the top and threw it to the ground and walked up on the porch and under the rope and started dumping the gas on the porch.
So the woman had a gas can, like a jerry can full of gas, and was spreading it all over the home on the outside on the porch, and witnesses were able to see her. This is in Atlanta. I think it's in Old Fourth Ward. You're right in the city. So you have quite a bit of foot traffic, vehicle traffic. She's not going to do this without being seen, especially since it wasn't at night. It was kind of like in the evening. It was still pretty much daylight outside. Let's keep on going.
Video shows Atlanta police speaking with witnesses following an attempted arson at one of the most well-known and historic homes. Investigators say 26-year-old Lanisha Henderson tried to destroy a piece of Atlanta and American history. People visiting the home acted quickly and detained her. Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon live tonight outside of the Auburn Hills home. Doug, the home is technically... Okay,
Auburn Hills, that's where it is. But it's like not too far from Old Fourth Ward. You see the actual location right there, Auburn Ave, Edgewood Boulevard, Northeast.
A national park. Could the accused arsonist face federal charges?
It's absolutely a possibility. She is already facing a charge of second-degree arson and a state charge of interfering with government property. And you just saw that body cam video. Wait until you see the video that bystanders here took last night as this was going on. If not for them, firefighters say this home, this historic site, would have gone up in a matter of minutes in flames and been reduced to a pile of ashes.
Now, let's pause for a second. I believe the home is controlled by the National Park Service. That's a federal administration, so she could receive Fed charges as a result of the attempted arson.
I was just horrified when I saw it.
In her 17 years as a ranger for the MLK historic site, Judy Forte has never seen anything like this.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's 26-year-old Lanisha Henderson on Thursday night. Two bystanders from Utah took this video. They were visiting the boyhood home of the famed civil rights leader when Henderson breezed past them and started dousing the historic home with gasoline.
She grabbed a lighter from the grass and started to come back up the stairs. So I stood at the stairs and said, "You can't do this," and blocked her for about a minute.
That's when two off-duty New York City police officers, also on a visit to the city, stepped in and held Henderson down until Atlanta police arrived.
Now, what are the odds of two retired NYPD officers just happened to be right there on the scene, and they're able to use what they learned while being part of the NYPD, training for the NYPD, going to the academy? They were able to use their skills to subdue this person. You see the little knee right there on the back. All right. No George Floyd. The person is not deleted. They are still rocking and rolling. But what are the odds of that happening? And also, the people who filmed the video that you saw at the very beginning of my video, they were white tourists from Utah. Just a random combination of people right there in Atlanta. Atlanta is very diverse, contrary to popular opinion, but that's a different story, and I digress.
If those heroes had not done what they did, that place would not be here today.
Visitors to the site on Friday were breathing a sigh of relief, knowing there almost wasn't anything to visit at all. Tourist Phyllis Moore was nearly moved to tears thinking about what could have happened.
We're on a mission to learn all history, and it's been an eye-opener, and it's been a hard trip.
She and her husband Jim came from Tennessee, where they worked at the ancestral home of President James K. Polk. Safe to say they understand the importance of historic sites like the MLK boyhood home.
From one perspective, it's just a house. But it's a house that tells a story. And to still have this house here to share the story about it, to think of something like that being jeopardized, to where it's maybe not here for down the road for other people to see, and really embrace and feel this story, I shudder to think.
Yeah, speaking about this incident last night, Atlanta's police chief called this site a jewel of the city, and he's absolutely right. They still, though, have not mentioned a motive for this suspected crime.
Well, like I said, the motive, the family said that she had been missing for 2 days, and they said that she had a mental break. Now, again, I don't know what makes you go get a jerry can full of gasoline and go to MLK's birthplace in Atlanta, spread gasoline on it, and then try to spark it up. I don't know how that really works. And then one thing that they didn't mention is not only did they save this house from going up, they saved her from burning herself up. She would have deleted herself because obviously she's getting the gasoline on herself, and if she goes with the lighter and goes on the porch to light the house up, she would go right up with it. So they saved not only the house, but also the young lady. Now, here is an interview with the two NYPD officers who happen to be, retired NYPD officers who happen to be right there on the scene. And I have a question before we get to it. I wonder why they retired from NYPD. The one guy didn't look to be that old, probably not too much older than I am. So it's like, why'd you retire? Is it because of the recent policies that are going on? Again, different story. I digress. Let's get back to this.
Well, a woman is under arrest tonight in Atlanta. She is charged with attempting to burn down the birth home of Martin Luther King Jr. This is her pouring gasoline all over the front porch. And when tourists disrupted her, she suddenly took off. But guess what? Two retired New York City police officers just happened to be there, and they sprung into action. Tonight, they're telling Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger how they detained the would-be arsonist.
You know what was crazy? And you know, this is like the liberal conundrum. When they had her on the ground right here, the people, the white tourists, were filming still, and then they were asking her, "Can you breathe? Are you okay?" I was like, there go that George Floyd effect right there. It's like, look, she's all right. They know what they're doing. She's good. Wait till the police get here, throw her in the paddy wagon, and go on down the block, okay? Don't nobody got time for this nonsense in 2023 or anytime before or after. Let's keep on going.
On the site of a national treasure.
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, that's gasoline.
Good Samaritans stopped a real disaster when a woman apparently tried to torch the historic birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr.
Still breathe.
They're on their way.
But as she tried to flee, she didn't get far, thanks to Axel Dodson and his brother Kenny.
We really didn't realize the significance of what we had done until after it was over.
Both retired NYPD officers who'd been visiting family in Georgia. Tonight on Eyewitness News Extra Time, they described how they stopped to help other tourists restrain the would-be arsonist, putting their old training to good use.
But she starts walking away, and she was all the way down the block, and we hopped in a car and went after her.
Axel grabbed her and held her on the sidewalk as onlookers called 911.
I asked her why she was doing what she was doing, and she didn't really respond. And, when we said we were from New York, one of the things that, what are you guys doing here?
Wait, she asked you that? We kind of knew that she was not intoxicated. We didn't feel she was high, but we knew that there was something that was wrong with her.
Atlanta police soon took 26-year-old Lanisha Henderson into custody.
And this was the lighter that was on her?
If she'd used that lighter, a treasured jewel of American history surely would have burned to the ground. Dr. King was born and spent the first 12 years of his life in this house, which was built in 1895. It's now owned by the National Park Service, which today was clear about how close they came to disaster.
Thank you for what you did to protect that home, because if they had not done it, we probably wouldn't be here having a conversation that we're having today.
Henderson, whose family says is a veteran suffering from PTSD, was charged with attempted arson, but may face federal charges too.
Now, like I said, I believe that she was in the Navy. Now, I don't know what PTSD, I don't know exactly what happened, but I did read that she is a Navy veteran.
And tonight, a national treasure is still standing thanks to the quick thinking of these two former cops.
Who would do this to light MLK's house on fire, and for what reason? And really, today, we really don't have a reason. There was no reason to it, and it would have just been gone. So, you know, by blessing, we just happen to be there.
So shout out to the two retired NYPD cops. So you got two black male cops that subdued the black female suspect, and two white tourists who recorded the whole situation and put the initial pause to it. So shout out to them. Okay, this story doesn't really fit the mainstream narrative. That's why I'm mentioning the race part. I don't really care too much about race like that. But of course, race is everything in this country. And this story would have been a whole different way. It would have been reported with much more vigor, with much more tenacity if there were different races involved, if they were on different sides of the coin, the arsonist, the recorder, whoever stopped or whatever. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the quick thinking actions of people who were able to not only stop this, but to get this person subdued and get them into custody. If there's a mental health issue, hopefully that gets resolved, and hopefully this situation will allow her to get treated, because we can't have stuff like this going on. I think we need to have more mental health facilities. At this point, people go to the penitentiary to get locked up, but they don't get treated. And a lot of these issues just keep on going in society, and we're wondering why we have such a bad time, why so much crime. You got a lot of criminals just want to commit crime, but you also got a bunch of crazy people out here who are just going untreated and nobody really cares. And then things like this happen, then we want to react. Let's try to be a little bit proactive, at least in my humble opinion. That'll probably be a good solution, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this whole situation? Do you think it's a mental health issue? Do you think it's something else going on? How about those who intervene to stop and record and everything else? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is a story that has been reported by the media, but not really. And I just want to get it out there to let everybody know what's going on and to bring some balance. Because again, if the races were different in this story, you would see a lot more reporting. It'd be constant. It'd be like how they cover a certain nation over there in the Middle East every 2 seconds on Fox News. It'd be like that all over the mainstream media, at least in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.